The first thing I heard was crying, thin and broken, coming from inside the wreck buried in my north field. I grabbed my flashlight and ran through the mud without thinking twice. The pod had torn a long black scar across my land, smoke still curling from its hull. My hands shook as I pried the jammed hatch open with a crowbar, metal screaming against metal. Inside, two small figures huddled together, arms wrapped around each other, skin a pale violet color I had never seen before. Their eyes were huge, dark, and terrified. Thin lines under their skin glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat I could actually see. They flinched away from my light. One of them, the smaller one, whimpered and pressed closer to the other. I lowered the flashlight, and my voice at the same time. "I am not going to hurt you," I said, even though I knew they could not understand a word. I lived alone on Cassandra's Reach, a dusty little world far past any patrol route, the kind of place people came to when they wanted the rest of the galaxy to forget them. There was no outpost close enough to call quickly, no ship traffic worth mentioning, nothing but wind, rock, and my small farm. That distance was usually a curse. That night, it felt like the only reason these two children were still breathing. I could have called it in. There was a relay station 2 days out by transport that handled stray refugee cases, but something about the way the older child looked at me, shielding the smaller one with her own thin arms, made me decide against it. People who show up scared and starving do not always get treated kindly by strangers with badges. I had seen enough of that in my own life to know better. So I carried them both back to my house instead, one under each arm, light as bundles of dry sticks. The first few days were the hardest. They would not eat unless I ate first, showing them it was safe. They flinched at sudden movement, at loud sounds, at doors closing too fast. The older one, who I started calling Wren because I could not pronounce whatever sound she made when I asked her name, stood guard over her little brother like a soldier twice her size. I named him Finn, mostly because it was short and easy and felt kind. Slowly, carefully, things changed. Wren was the first to smile, a small crooked thing that appeared when I burned the eggs one morning and swore under my breath. Finn started following me around the house, tugging at my sleeve when he wanted something, pointing at objects until I told him the word for it. I began pointing at things too, and repeating the strange soft sounds they gave back, until crude sentences started forming between us. It was slow, it was clumsy, but it was real. Their markings, I learned, told me more than their faces ever could. When they glowed soft blue, they were calm. When they flared into sharp gold, they were frightened. I got very good, very fast, at making sure gold never showed up if I could help it. About 3 weeks in, I noticed the ships. At first it was just a flicker on my old radio scanner, ships passing high in orbit that did not match any trade route through this system. Then it became a pattern, sleek, quiet vessels, moving with a kind of precision that had nothing to do with cargo runs or mining surveys. They were searching. I did not know what for, not yet, but instinct told me to keep Wren and Finn close and out of sight whenever one of those ships passed overhead. I found a scrap of fabric in the wreck one afternoon, half burned, with a mark stitched into the corner. 3 interlocking rings, done in threads so fine they looked like they had been sewn by machines built for jewelry, not clothing. I told myself it was just decoration, and went back to fixing the fence. 4 weeks in, everything changed in a single night. I was outside checking the water lines when the sky above my house lit up gold, then silver, then a soft, steady white that did not flicker like engine burn. A ship descended, small compared to the hulking cargo haulers I sometimes saw pass through, but its shape was wrong in a way that made my chest tighten. Every line of it looked deliberate, expensive, alive with lights that pulsed gently like breathing. Wren grabbed my hand so hard it hurt, her markings blazed gold. I stepped in front of both children as the ship settled onto the dry grass, its ramp lowering without a sound. For a long moment nothing happened. Then a single figure walked down into the light, spilling from my porch. She was tall, with the same violet skin as the children, the same glowing lines beneath it, except hers burned bright and unsteady, flickering between colors like she could not decide whether to feel relief or grief. Her clothes were simple but finely made, travel-worn, like she had not stopped moving in a long time. Her eyes found Wren and Finn, and something in her face broke open completely. She said a word, just one, in a voice that cracked in the middle. Both children let go of me and ran. I stood there holding my breath as she dropped to her knees and pulled them both against her chest, her whole body shaking. The glow beneath her skin steadied into a deep, calm blue, matching theirs almost instantly, like 3 separate heartbeats finally sinking back into one. It took her a while to notice me again. When she did, she rose slowly, wiping her face with the back of her hand, composing herself the way someone does when they are used to being watched by many eyes at once.
You fed them,
she said, in careful, halting trade standard. You kept them. I did not know what else to do, I answered. They were starving. I could not leave them out there. She studied me for a long moment. The way you study something you cannot quite believe is real. Do you understand who they are? She asked. I shook my head slowly. I did not. Not really, though the ships overhead and the fine stitching on that scrap of fabric were starting to add up to something I was not ready for. She told me plainly, without any dramatic flourish, the way people speak, when a truth has become simple through repetition. She governed a vast stretch of the galaxy, more systems than I could name, more worlds than I had ever bothered to count on any star chart. Her children had been smuggled off her home planet during an attempt on her life, hidden inside an emergency pod meant to carry them somewhere safe. The beacon had failed. The pod had drifted through open space for months, before crashing, by pure chance, onto the one world in this entire stretch of the galaxy, quiet enough for nobody to notice it land. Every fleet loyal to her had been searching ever since. Every ally she had spent years cultivating had ships combing empty systems, dead moons, abandoned stations, anywhere a drifting pod might have ended up. Nobody had thought to check a small dry farm on a forgotten world, with no strategic value at all. I looked down at Ren and Finn, who were watching me now with the same wide eyes they had the night I pulled them out of the wreck, except there was no fear in them anymore. I am sorry, I said, because it was the only thing that felt honest. I did not know. I just saw 2 hungry kids. That, she said quietly, is exactly why I trust you. She explained that, in her world, nothing was given without a price, without a motive hidden somewhere beneath the surface. People helped her because of what she could offer in return, not because helping was simply the right thing to do. She had spent so long inside that kind of thinking that a stranger acting without any expectation of reward genuinely confused her. I did not know how to answer that, so I just shrugged and said something about how anybody with half a heart would have done the same. She looked at me like she did not fully believe that, and honestly, given the state of the wider galaxy, maybe she was right not to. Over the following hour, more ships arrived, filling the night sky above my little farm with lights that made the stars themselves look dim by comparison. Officers in clean uniforms moved carefully around my property, careful not to trample the crops, careful not to disturb anything, as if the ground itself had become important simply because her children had once stood on it. She offered me things, wealth beyond anything I could reasonably use. Protection under her banner, a place among the stars if I wanted it, safety guaranteed for the rest of my life. I stood there listening, feeling the weight of an offer too big to hold properly in my hands. I asked for time to think, and to my surprise, she gave it without pressing further. Ren tugged my sleeve one last time, before they boarded the ship that would carry them home. She said a soft string of words I had learned over the past month, words that meant something close to the one who did not ask. Finn, too small to fully understand what was happening, just wrapped his arms around my leg and refused to let go until his mother gently lifted him away. I stood on my porch as the great ship rose into the dark, engines glowing gold, before folding away into the sky entirely. The other ships followed one by one, until the night above my farm was quiet again, filled only with ordinary stars. I stayed out there a long time after they were gone, the dust settling slowly around my boots. My small, forgotten farm on my small, forgotten world did not feel quite so forgotten anymore. Somewhere far above me, in a part of the galaxy I had never thought twice about, 2 children who called me guardian were finally home safe. And somewhere in the quiet static, still crackling faintly on my old radio, I had the strange, certain feeling that this was not the last time the sky above my land would light up gold.